Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed far reaching greatness, relentless you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll rot into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name?
Hello everybody and welcome to Anime Watch Club. My name is Peter and joining me today is our lovable cast of co-hosts. Today on today's episode we are going to be discussing and reviewing the 2016 fantasy isekai light novel adaptation of Grimgar. Joining me first, our co-host from the other segment is Adam. Adam, how's it going today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for asking.
Joining us as well on Anime Watch Club is Smiley. Smiley, how's it going?
I'm doing all right, and I just gotta say, Adam is best Donnie-chan.
Of course. And making his reluctant return to anime, we have Haz. Haz, how's it going?
I fucking hate this game and that is anime.
Glad to have you back, Haz. And our other Watch Club member, we have Kat. Kat, how's it going?
Today I come with you a question. I come to you with a question. If a cat girl said nya and daddy at the same time, would it sound like nyadi or nyati?
That's a great question. Thank you, Kat. Thank you for being PG-13 this time. I appreciate it.
Anime was a mistake.
And our two moderators. First up, we have Miles. Miles, how's it going?
Going pretty well.
And our second moderator, Pat. Pat, how's it going?
Yeah, hello. It is fantastic. I've got all my seasonals back and started, and I watched this show too, so I guess that's had that happen. So yeah,
And we'll have we have our special guest as well, who hasn't watched all of it, but will still be hanging out. Is Happy. Happy, how are you doing?
Hi, my life is a black abyss.
Okay. Thanks for that, Happy. All right, so we'll be discussing probably I have a feeling it's going to be our most controversial episode of Grimgar, and I'm going to hand it over to our moderators, Miles and Pat. Take it away.
All right. Well, so for this show, first off, just want to throw it out there. Smiley, thank you for nominating the show. I believe you nominated a few weeks ago, and we ended up voting for it. So thank you. We're excited. So why don't we do as usual, our first impressions or, first few episodes, so spoiler-free, what we thought going into it, what we expected. We're just gonna go around the horn and talk about it like that. So, Smiley, why don't you kick us off? What were your first impressions? How'd you hear about the series, etc.?
Well, let's see. First off, I watched this when it first was coming out. I just I don't know. I was going through Kiss Anime because this is back when I didn't pay for things, and I just noticed it and I picked it up. It was probably the third anime I've actually ever watched at that point. No, fourth anime I've ever watched. And just at first, the first impressions were just seeing the artwork of the cover. I thought was absolutely beautiful and stunning. So going in, I was expecting a beautiful piece of art. And then on top of that, also just by the way the cover was and the first episode, I was like, okay, this is an adventurous, there's going to be monsters and all that, So I was looking forward into it because that's the type of stuff I kind of like. So.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense. So, so I'm assuming you must have liked it then. Well, especially if it's one of your first anime, I feel like, the first 5 shows you watch, you're going to love them all. But so going into it though, would you say you recommend this show? Did you enjoy it?
I mean, I would say I would enjoy it considering the fact that I bought all the light novels besides some of the new ones I heard about, but and that I own it on Blu-ray. So yeah, I would say I liked it, and I would have to agree. Most cases, I would say that like the first few anime people watch, they tend to enjoy it, and it's nostalgia in a sense. So
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's all, a lot of people try to say that that's why I like SAO. No, I like it because it's good. There we go. Moving on.
that's
All
fair.
right.
Debatable.
No, that's not debate today. All right, Smiley, thank you.
No
Just
problem.
going along the list, for me at least, my I don't know what the order is on the layout, but Pete, what's your first impressions?
I feel like it's gonna be this. Everyone's have like a very similar answer where the art is very unique, and that's definitely what caught my eye. It was just based off like the cover, like you can tell it's gonna be like a group fantasy adventure, whether it's like an isekai or just like a normal type of like fantasy. It intrigued my interest because that's the type of stuff that I do enjoy for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, next up is Has. Has, what have you got for us? What were your well, here we go. What's your first impression and do you recommend it? Brace for impact,
Um,
boys.
so I just came out of an anime break. I wanted to quit. I really did. Like I was this close, and then I relapsed because I have friends who watch
Yes.
anime.
Yeah.
This is when I saw it. The first thing I thought was Valkyria Chronicles. If you know that game on PlayStation, same art
Hey,
style. Yeah, so it's the same art style as that. So I had an okay first impression because I love Valkyria Chronicles. Then I started the first episode, and then I was like, you know what? Maybe anime was a mistake. Maybe it's not too late. And what I recommend is, fuck no. I would recommend you just cancel Verve, or you just delete Kiss Anime from your bookmarks, and you go about your day watching CW shows. I promise you, it's a 10 times better experience. That's all I'm gonna say
Okay.
for now.
honest.
Wow. All right, so I guess that, yeah, good for you for putting it out there, going against the grain so far of people generally recommending it. Happy, you're next. What do you think? I know you didn't finish the show, but what do you or were you enjoying what you've seen so far? What do you think?
So for me, it was on an honest to goodness struggle for me to just get to just like I kept telling myself I gotta watch Grimgar, I gotta watch Grimgar, and I just never ever did. In fact, today I got to episode 5, and that's as far as I got. And I wasn't even planning on being on today until I found out you don't necessarily have to finish in order to be on if you don't care about being spoiled. So
Yeah.
when I finally committed to being on, I thought about watching one more episode, and then I'm like, no, I just have no motivation to keep going at all.
So,
It was
so
just
you
so
definitely would not
dull.
recommend it. Yes, you
It was
think it's
so
dull?
dull and boring to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I could see that. The first few episodes, I think that's gonna be our discussion point, or our first discussion point for sure, is talking about the first few episodes. But okay, so you sounds like you would not recommend this show.
Probably not.
All right, well, moving on to someone who most likely would. Adam, what do you think?
I actually kind of land somewhere in the middle. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this show. Well, I'll say first off, I got introduced to the show when it aired too, like Smiley. So I watched it when it aired, and I knew going in with this second watch through that the first 5 to 6 episodes were going to be a slow burn, we'll say. And I feel like if you can get through that, the the last half is a really enjoyable show. So overall, I'd recommend it if you can get through that first slow burn in the first 5 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I like that. So you're somewhere a little bit more near the middle, but you can see the criticism, but you definitely do recommend the show still.
Yeah, overall, I would. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Kat, what about you, my friend? Mr. Nya? Let's hear what you got for us.
Okay, so my first impressions were I'm not a huge Isekai fan. Like I have Isekai that's in my top 5. That time I got reincarnated to Islam, but like normally with Isekai I don't have a high bar for it. And from the first few episodes that I saw, I was like, if I wasn't watching this for the watch club, and if I didn't have anything else going on in my life except for a job that I don't really have to put too much time into, uh, I would have dropped this. Like, I would have dropped this after the second episode. Like, I would not recommend the whole series. Like, I would not rush from in this at all. Like, if you're gonna torture yourself through the first few episodes, like you are either yearning for a leather daddy or you have no taste.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so scalding words from Cat. He really came with his claws out with this one.
You and your
Miles,
puns.
yeah, thank you. No, you know what? I try to make it interesting.
That
You
was
know?
good.
Ah, thank you. I'm proud of myself. Pete, you know, coming from you especially, that means a lot. Thank you. Uh, Miles, what have you got for us? What do you find about the show, or what do you
Yeah,
think?
so I guess similarly to Cat, don't really like isekai very much. I do have some high-rated isekai, and they're all sort of parodies of the genre. Konosuba, Cautious Hero, and stuff like that. So going in, I had tried reading these light novels before because I have a friend who really likes the series, and he suggested it to me. And so I was like, oh, well, I'll try reading them because I was on like a reading kick at the time. But I sort of they didn't really catch my attention. So this being an isekai and me not liking the light novels when I first tried reading them, I didn't have high expectations for the show. What I am going to say is that without a doubt, this is the best non-satirical isekai I have ever seen by a fucking margin. Like, this is what ReZero wishes it was. It is so good. So I would absolutely recommend it. Cat's looking at me bewildered, and it's okay. Not everyone likes well thought out, detailed shows. Cat, it's okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. All right.
I agree.
All right. So there's some fighting words being thrown out already. I like it though. I like it. All right. So just I guess my initial impressions. I hadn't heard about this until we started talking about it for Watch Club. I like isekai, or I can enjoy it. You know, I'm not. It's just a show that it shows like that I usually just watch because they're fun. You know, they're entertaining, and this show was for me. Like we'll talk about soon. I think the start is the most difficult part. The first few episodes are painfully slow, in my opinion, and but once I got through that, I enjoyed the rest of the show. So I can say that I recommend it in the sense that it's enjoyable, and if it's your genre, you could like it. But if you're not an isekai fan, you're probably not going to like this show. I don't think. Or not like this show enough to say that you should watch it. I guess. So that's my first impression, I suppose. But moving on, so let's talk about that slow start, that thing that we've been debating a little bit. You know, setting hints through our little introductions about. So I guess I'll make my stance first. For me, the first few episodes took way too long to get moving. Like in my notes, I just wrote down slow start, show don't tell, like also, fuck Ranta because the first few episodes, that character was so intolerable. I wrote that down like 3 or 4 times because I was just so irritated while watching it. But I feel like this show struggles because they spend, they kill a goblin in like the first episode, I think, as a team or whatever. And then there's just these random moments in the episodes that just feel like they don't need to be there. They feel like they're just like I said, show don't tell. They're the moments where these characters are being told things or telling each other things that we really don't need to hear them talking about. And then there's the random insert songs that get thrown in. Like I think it was episode 1 where there was an insert song for
Two.
like it was episode 2. All
I
right.
also don't kill a goblin until episode 2 as well.
Right, exactly. So there you go. Like it takes them
Mhm.
that, and then by the 4th episode, they still haven't even done more than just killing that one goblin. And like I understand you can build towards things sometimes, but this one it just felt like it was dragging its legs to try to get going, and which is why I think Kat didn't like it as much. Like he was saying, it was slow, it was boring. I honestly have to agree about those first few episodes, especially again, like I said, that insert song was like. It was so random. It was like 5 minutes long, there was no dialogue, and they were showing them just doing like meaningless chores and doing meaningless things, going around and like no, I don't know. The way I look at it is, it's like no shit. You're gonna have to clean the bathrooms or clean whatever or cook in a when you're dropped into this random world, like where you're now just a random soldier. Like no shit. You're gonna have to do that. You don't need to show us. show us them doing it. And that's the way I looked at it, and it bothered me. I'm curious to see how everyone else felt about it, like the first few episodes.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be the only person defending this song, so I'm gonna jump in. But
Cool.
I think that like you learn a whole bunch about the characters during that 5 minutes, and it might seem meaningless, but it is like you see that Ranta bought his food, right? Even though people had said buying the meat might be a waste of money, and he was enjoying it. So you learn something about him there. Monato buys. Um, our mage lady whose name I can't pronounce, a pen, and Shihiro, okay, and we'll come back to that later. But you see him making a bridge to a companion who has already been kind of quiet and had been really thrown off by the bath scene. Um, you see Yumi sort of like looking out for Shihiro, but realizing Minato is a nice guy and sort of like stepping away about that from there. You see Magozu like carving, which sort of like goes to like him being sort of a gentle giant character, which you don't necessarily know at that point. And he's also carving a plane, I believe. So it's sort of another like throwback to how they still have some of these weird memories from stuff. So like you learn a lot about the world, you learn a lot about the characters through all of that. It really is the definition of showing, not telling, and that's how you learn about their characterization.
So I can understand that, but for me, it was the timing of it felt so random and just like so complete. Like I don't know. I feel like it was too long of a montage. For me, and maybe that's just because of the size of the cast. If it was only 2 or 3 characters, we would see 2 or 3 characters maybe doing like a minute long thing. But like this, it was literally like 5 minutes of the episode. I remember like I was watching, and I was like, oh, there's about like 7, 8 minutes left in the episode, and then the song starts, and then it gets to the end, and I'm like, wait, what the hell? Like this is where where'd the episode go? So that's where I got it got lost on me, was how long it was taking. Like, and again, that it might be because they had to show six, I believe, yeah, 6 or 7 different characters, all you know remembering things or experiencing things that they might not have thought they were going to experience, or whatever you want to say. But even then, I still was it put me off. I don't know. I'm curious to see what everyone else thinks as well, because I
Yeah,
was just
So
so shocked
can I
by it.
jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
So I don't have much to say, but I do have thoughts on that whole thing. When that song started, it keeps going and going and going, and at one point I literally thought, "Wait, is this the rest of the episode?"
I thought it was the end credits song. I was like, oh wow, it's
Yeah,
gonna start
that's what I
that up,
thought too.
and then it
That's
kept
what I thought
going.
too.
Yeah, yeah, it just
Yeah,
kept going and going. I was just like, wait, this isn't the end credits. Like what? Like what's going on then?
yeah,
Like
yeah. I'm like,
so
sometimes shows do that. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah.
I can explain kind of most of that. So in the light novel, they had to like take it was a good chunk of the light novel that it was like explaining the world and like the money amount and like was saying a bank and all this stuff. They had to take out all this stuff and try to put it into a certain amount of time to so they had to work with like a good amount of the first book was just explaining the world, and that they were trying to shorten it as much as they can. So in
Mhm.
that section, that's what they used, trying to shorten and explain as much and kind of like how the stuff works and how like I don't know, like I mean it didn't go fully into explaining everything, but like it did show some of like their daily stuff and like food they eat and all that, like Ann Moustiga mentioned earlier.
Can I jump in? Or
Mhm.
all right. So so with that montage, okay. So before I hit the montage, I want to hit the bath scene and just the 2 episodes prior, because I think if I remember correctly, that happens in episode 3. If I'm not mistaken.
So,
Uh,
according to my notes, bath scene happens at the end of episode 2, right after the montage.
close enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was actually watching this with my mother, and first of all, because like I didn't really like the feel of the show at the beginning, so it wasn't really that great for me. And my mom ended up watching it, and she didn't really like it either, but she didn't watch anime that much. So,
Mhm.
but it doesn't help that it like in the first like 10 minutes of the show it just starts objectifying women, and I'm just like, that's not something that I want to show my mom for her like first or second anime. And I'm just like, because I mean that's a time thing, and I'm like, I can let it go because like anime does that sometimes. And then I mean I wasn't happy about it, but I tried to let it go, and then the second episode it does it again, and then it does it again in the end of the second episode with a bath scene, and then Ranta just starts just going on this conception rant, like just basically making it seem like women are only there to be uh are only there because they have tits and they have a reproductive system. Like that's it. Like that is literally he is just saying I want to get an owner hole with a person attached. Like that's literally what I thought it was.
Now
Like
hear
I
me out,
couldn't
Cat.
deal with it. No. And then now then in the montage I would have much rather had the exposition because he already went through the exposition. He is like Hidehiro is the main character of the story, and he's given exposition throughout, like in the first and second episode, and then in the montage you want to just show not tell, but I'd rather you just tell me what's going on.
Yeah, it was weird.
Like
They went back and forth between having Haru narrate a lot. That I think that's where my show don't tell note came from, was with there was a lot of moments where Haru was narrating that I was just like, he doesn't need to tell me that. They're showing this on the screen right now. Like they're showing them going through these struggles, or they're showing them learning how to fight, or learning how to work as a team, learning their roles, like that sort of thing. I feel like that was when that show don't tell came out from my end at least. But yeah,
I
continue,
think
Kat.
it
I
was
think part of
just
that. Oh, sorry.
like it was basically just like, oh hey, we know you're not smart enough to figure out how gold, silver, and coppers work, but hey, we're gonna show you a bunch of these pictures and a bunch of these moving images, and we're gonna make you guess at what's going on. So we know that your IQ isn't big enough to know what this means, but we'll tell you what this means. Like that, like that's how I felt. Like I
I
was
I mean,
like
do you
that
want them
pissed
to
me
not
off.
explain how the copper, silver, gold system works though? Because it's different than other copper, silver, gold systems that I've, like in Pathfinder, 10 copper is 1 silver, but in this it's 100 copper is 1 silver. So, like, they
Come on,
kind of have to
Cat.
explain that at some point.
I think they explain it, but it's just like, do they need to tell us that much?
They
You know?
absolutely do need to tell you because
I think
Yeah.
so.
they struggle to fight this goblin, right? That's the entire first 2 episodes is them killing one goblin, and you already know that badge that each of them needs costs 20 silver, and they get 30 copper for killing the one goblin. So
Right.
like if they don't tell you that, you don't know how behind the curve they are, because it's the difference between having 3 silver and having 0.3 silver, which is
Right.
a massive difference. So like
Fair enough. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, no,
Uh,
I think they
I
do
can
tell us, but it's pretty quick. Like, they do. I think it's at the bar scene where they tell us. One of the first bar scenes, right? I think is when they're talking
It's
about it.
it's a second one or third one. I know that they have the gold conversion rate, and like the third one, um, when Ron says mad because he didn't take the gold.
Right, right. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's when they
We
don't take.
discussed it before then, but yeah, that does happen.
That's like
Well,
the
I
main
don't think
moment that you
I don't
bring
think
up.
they discussed the gold. I know they discussed silver and copper, but I don't know if it.
Oh yeah, I don't know if they go into
so
gold.
honestly,
They
my just to close out my remark for this
Mhm.
part, my main thing was it feels like a mix between Goblin Slayer and SAO.
Uh,
Like that's not high praise for me.
Oh.
Like,
So okay, so your
hey, but
concern though was that it was over sexualizing female characters, but Isekai Slime is in your top 5. I just want to get that correct.
Got him.
uh,
Mm.
Well, I don't know. I think
Me and you
I
are
can see where he's
fighting.
coming. So
I'm
like
not saying it doesn't.
yeah,
I'm just saying
no,
be
it's definitely
consistent.
it's something that happens in anime though, like in general. Like
Yeah.
obviously we become numb almost to it sometimes, where it's just like, okay, well, who cares that this is happening, blah 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 blah. But for me, uh it made Ranta feel so irredeemably awful that I was actively rooting against him almost. Like, 'cause, like obviously you have
They
to.
turned it up to 11 with him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
that's a
think.
turned it
little
up to
much.
11 versus it was so much because like there's pervy characters that are funny, and again, just to call back Sao because it's easy, fucking Klein. Even though Klein isn't even that bad of an example, I don't know. Maybe someone else is better. Like if Jiraiya,
I mean,
Jiraiya from Naruto maybe is a
yeah.
better good example where yeah he's a perv, but it's like all right, it's funny and it's never something that is meant to be a superly defining character trait, which it is with it feels like at least with Ranta, where
But
he's
that's why it.
So if we're talking about Ranta, I just want to put in something. So Ranta, so I have had friends in the past that were like Ranta, and
sorry.
basically
Yeah.
Ranta
So
is he treats Yume like the way he does because he likes her, and someone's gone, but that's legit the reason why he does that is because he likes her, and you can see it especially later on, but when like I don't know, it's just like there are those people out there that just pick on people that they like.
Yeah.
So I mean
Yeah.
I don't support him, but it does I don't hate him.
So like I can see that because like that's the vibe he gives off. He does give off the I'm teasing because I like her vibe, but that doesn't make it okay, nor does it make it
Oh
like
yeah.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be okay, right? So because
Yeah.
you've talked about this like lovable pervert sort of character that exists in anime, right? If you're making an anime character and you're trying to highlight the tension that having an actual person like that in a group would cause, you kind of do need to turn it up to 11 because there is a baseline in the media for a character that is just liked by everyone but also super horny all the time. So if you like, because a big part of this is Ronta and the team not getting along together because Ronta's a horny dick. Like, and so since you want to show that to an audience that is used to like the normal horny guy that everyone is chummy with, you have to turn it up. I mean, you don't have to, but it's conceivable to me why you would turn it up to 11 for him because he's not supposed to be likable. He's not supposed to be Klein. He's supposed to be a divisive person in the party who you don't like, who improves over the case of the story. I agree that they sort of go too hard on it, but I think it's just because of the nature of the media.
I think it's also just to tie it in because I feel like this is all part of my criticism of not only is the beginning very slow, it doesn't feel like the beginning is focused. Like there's a lot of things that happen in the beginning in different sections, and it not only is tonally inconsistent. Like the first 3 episodes are, while the first 3 episodes gave me the indication that I was supposed to be watching something about how people live in an isekai world, right? Like, how would your daily life, right? A realistic interpretation. Problem is, it doesn't, one of the first things we learn is that you take away the one thing that helped me relate to them because they don't even realize that they're in another world, really. They kind of grew up in that world, even though it was only 2 weeks, right? They're not like fighting against. They do have flashes of certain like, oh, this isn't a video game, and they don't know what that is. But it's never like, oh, I'm actively going against some moral compass that I learned before. So that's what I initially thought. And then episode 4 happens, and I'm like, oh, this is supposed to get dark, right? Or not even episode 4, but like there's a moment in episode. Did they kill the goblin in episode 1 or 2?
2.
So when they kill the goblin, right, the tone of fucking police is really loud.
No worries.
The tone of the show to me did not match how the characters were reacting. It was very like, this is this traumatic thing, right? Or not traumatic, but like everyone was kind of shocked that they had to do that. Ranta just became more unlikable, the fucking sociopath. And then, but like, it's still like, there's happy music in the background. It's like, it's really weird. And because of that, when things happen, like Ranta is being overly sexual, depending on how we're looking at this, it's not unlikable. I think he can be a likable character if, let's say, the tone of the show is more upbeat, because then you associate that with a likable perv. But since it wants to be grounded, yeah, it's going to be a little more unnerving. But it's so confusing that I don't really have any strong opinions on Ranta, because I don't know if the show is serious or not, or what the fuck is going on here and there. I fucking hate anime. That's the smallest.
There you go. That's what you were looking for.
That's what he was looking for, exactly. Yeah. All right, so I think we've talked about the first few episodes enough where we you can see why a few of us recommend it and a few of us don't. Why there's controversy in our group, at least, among why we either did like or did not like those first few episodes. I think, though, moving on to the probably our main talking point, I would say, would be and here's spoilers going forward beyond the first few episodes. I believe this a spoiler for episode 4 or the very beginning of episode 5.
It's the
Um,
end of episode.
end of episode
Four.
5, 4.
It's
Yeah. So
kind of like mid to end.
yeah. So Monato, the group's leader, and even though he's not the main character yet, the leader and the head healer ends up dying randomly. Like he is just brutally killed off in the show, which I give him props. They for me at least, I didn't see it coming that much. Like I had a feeling, I was like, something's gonna happen, but I didn't expect them to actually kill off somebody in a show like this. Maybe it's just because I didn't do my proper reading up on the show beforehand, but I expected this to just be like, a happy-go-lucky typical or isekai where it's just nothing, no one dies. It's the party going along and doing their thing. So um I'm curious to hear what your guys' reaction was to Minato's death, and specifically the characters' reactions to it as well, because we see them all suffer and mourn and grieve in different ways.
No, me and Adam get to
I-
talk this time because we didn't get to talk the last segment.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so I loved it. It set up something very similar to like Gurren Lagann, where Kamina dies. Spoiler, but
Yes.
so it sets up like this thing where it's chaos because your leader is now gone, and the person he's essentially like the glue. He's the glue that holds the team together, because you see that after the fact that he dies, the team doesn't really know what to do, and even towards it takes until like episode 11 or 12 where Haruhiro is essentially like solidified as the leader, but like you have like a span of like 7 episodes of like them trying to like work together in a way without having like any form of leadership or management or anything like that. So I really like that aspect, and it also does something where a lot of shows, I always do it. I'm gonna hate on My Hero Academia, where it creates a threat, and when you watch something like My Hero, you are pretty much going to assume that no one in the main cast is going to die. Like you never have that threat. Where this is like, hey, a goblin with a crossbow killed the main, or like the leader. Like, these people are weak. Anything can kill them. Like something simple like that. And I really like that element in terms of just like any form of like action/fantasy shows where it creates a threat for the party and then how they handle that threat. And I thought the show did a really good job.
I agree.
I also really liked when after he had passed and everyone's starting to grieve in their own way, how you can kind of see the lines being drawn between the groups, because that's when Ranta becomes even more of a like self-righteous douchebag. I hated the character.
Insufferable.
Insufferable, I think, is the best way to put it. And the girls are kind of feel like they're off on their own because what is it? Shihoru just lost the guy that she's in love with, and Yume is trying to like, I don't know, be the big sister and comfort her. But the people that they saw as family, because right before he dies, he talks about, or Minato talks about how they're finally becoming like a real team and becoming a family.
Mhm.
You see that rift develop because Haruhiro is kind of off on his own, doing his own grieving. Mogizo is doing the same thing, and like the girls feel like they're not part of the team anymore. Like their family just got broken up because of this. And I think they did a really good job with the whole Yume scene and Haruhiro like angry, not angry at each other, but like trying to like express like how they feel, feeling like they're all being separated and like you don't understand the loss I'm going through right now, and like just needing to be there for each other. I felt like that was a good bonding experience for the group, and I thought it was at that point that I started to feel like the show started to have its climb away from being like a slow pace to like being, I don't know, a lot more of a more engaging for me. But since I didn't get to say anything about on in the last section, on the my second watch through, because I watched it when the show when it originally came out, I was a lot more with Miles on my second watch through, where I'm seeing them slowly build up the characters piece by piece on my second watch. So I feel like if this is a show that you end up enjoying watching it a second time, I I think it does a really good job of you can find things that you might have missed, or like the development was there. It might have just been harder to see for some people.
Mhm. No, I think in our discussion about it, I can definitely see where why it was slow paced, or the parts that I may not have liked on my first impression might make more sense or have been proper good storytelling. But that's where I was just kind of like, there just a couple moments still though that bothered me. But talking more about Monato's death, I think they showed grief and suffering very well. This is where the show went, like you said a lot, Adam, where the show went from being just like slow paced, it's happening, whatever's going on is going on. It went from that to something that I was actually engaged in and wanting to watch more of. Because I remember the first time I watched like the first 4 episodes, or three episodes or so, and I was just like, what? Why am I watching this? But then I watched the next like 7 because I was just so engaged in it and I was enjoying it enough to where I wanted to keep going. And I think the only problem with me with Minato, or Manato, sorry, dying, or the grief that they show with him was every time he came back to life, so to speak, and was talking to Haruhiro. I maybe that's just me and not liking this specific like trope. It's not a trope, but it's like it's a tendency in in storytelling where a person's like dead, but they're talking to them in their imagination. I despise that in storytelling. I think it's lazy. I think it's stupid, and I just cannot enjoy it. So every time Minato was like talking to Haruhiro, I was just like, this is awful. Like, why are you doing this? Because there's so many different ways that they can show him grieving, and that the ways he's suffering already, like that they were showing that this just felt unnecessary. Like I don't know that, like that I think that's more just a me thing though, just hating that storytelling tool, I guess.
So
Um,
can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Uh, so this is okay. So I need to refurbish my complaints about it. So it, instead of the first 6 episodes, it's the first four episodes, just the build up to Monato's death. Uh, what I what I ended up saying was Monato's death itself was kind of meh to me. Uh, the the death itself, like him dying,
Mm-hmm.
that whole scene. But after, and this is gonna sound kind of hypocritical from what I said, but after he actually, kicks the bucket and dies, and they go to like the priest something whatever, the priest guild, I think it's called.
He's a
That
Uh,
cleric,
was
yeah.
while he was dying, though. He wasn't like.
no, no,
No,
no, no. He was
He
dead
was
by
dead
the
when
time
they
they got
got
there.
there.
Well, I mean, he
he
was
was
dead,
dead
but
when
like
they
they
got
didn't know he was like dead. They
Oh
thought
yeah,
they
that's
could
true.
save
They
him.
were
Yeah,
trying
he
to
was
save
dead,
him.
just not confirmed
They
yet.
were kind of hoping
I
he was alive. I feel like they knew though. They had to have
Yeah.
known he was dead. Yeah. But either way, that's
um
not relevant. Continue.
but honestly, after those battle lines were drawn, and like after the the characters actually seem like they're becoming more like decent characters. They don't seem like cardboard cutouts. They don't seem like they're just. It doesn't seem like they were just pulled out of some like fucking uh, isekai bullshit that comes on every year. Like it felt like they were actually becoming more human. They were showing more human emotion. They were becoming.
Yeah, so it didn't just feel like Shihoru was the quiet mage type. Didn't feel like Yume was the big sister type. That Moguzo was just the big gentle giant. Like they actually started showing like personalities and through their grief they started to develop as characters. I think that's kind of what you're trying to say, and I agree with it completely.
I
Exactly. And like it and to be honest, in my opinion, it was Monato's death was the only event in the show up to that point that actually felt that it deserved to be focused on. Like that like every other point before that was just like, oh bullshit, bullshit. We're gonna do this and it's just gonna be another day and like just trying to seem like it's a normal day in the neighborhood when it's obvious that it's not.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I think in order to subvert your expectations like that, right? Because like Monato is like if this was a different show, Monato is the MC, right? Like he's the main
Right.
character in a different show. So, like if you want to subvert expectations in a good way, you need to set up those expectations first. You know, like we don't want to like Rain Johnson this and Last Jedi it. We want to Rain Johnson and Knives Out it. So
Nice.
you need to set up, those tropes that you were talking about. You need to make it seem like it's going to be this normal isekai with these normal characters, and then you have a catalyst that no one was expecting. I mean, or that I guess is actually kind of foreshadowed, but maybe you weren't expecting. And have that react to it, so like maybe they do take too long to do that. Just guess seeing what other people think. I love the first 3 episodes, but I think that you need to do that in order to have a reaction during Manito's death. Like, if the first thing he does is die, you're like, oh, it's that kind of show, huh? So you don't want to, you don't want to do that.
That's
I
fair.
I agree to an extent, but I think going back to what I was saying about it being unfocused, the first 3 episodes, my personal opinion about episode 4 sucked ass, and this is where the show falls apart for me because episode 4 wasn't earned to me. The first 3 episodes, we were talking about how you see hints and during this montage of like who these characters are, and while that may be true, the first 3 episodes are completely redundant. They state the same things in different ways and reinforce, and it's never anything like super intricate. It's always skin deep. Like the most we get is that this guy's a humble giant, this guy's kind of a pervy asshole, and it's just reiterated. It's never anything deeper um, until, and that's 3 episodes. I don't think that's, to me, it wasn't subverting expectations. I was like, there has to be something else. Can we get along to it? Um, and it was just taking longer. When it happened to, I think the scene with Yumi and Haruhiro was great. I think that was a great scene.
Yeah,
Fucking
I agree.
10 out of 10. I loved it. Um, I liked the way that the grief was like delayed, like oh, we're dealing with this shit as we go, and that was great. It was fucking perfect. But did I care about it feels more like an observation of people going through it more than I'm supposed to care about them going through it. I don't feel empathetic to these characters at all and what they're going through. I feel more like I'm looking down on like a playset of people going through this shit and just watching. And maybe I'm just dead inside. That could be 100%
Yeah.
what the issue is. But there's nothing to make me. If we make the first 3 episodes 1 episode, it has the same effect. And I think if it's 1 episode, it's way
I,
better.
I just,
I
yeah, you can go, Fatal.
Yeah, I feel like the thing that drew me to them is in any other isekai anime where you're transported into a game, which is essentially what they are, the main characters have no issue just slaughtering monsters and stuff just wi- without hesitation. Like with no value for their lives. And when those first few episodes, I think do a good job of showing them like being really hesitant to kill the goblins and stuff because they see them as living creatures that are also no different from them fighting for their own lives. And
Right.
so for me, I was able to attach to the characters and like feel what they're going through because it's like I don't know if anyone's ever had to put an animal down or something that you care about. It's like I know this is the right thing to do. I know this is the best for everybody, including it, but it's still hard to do. They know that they need to do it to survive. They need to kill this goblin, but like feeling the blade touch their bone as they're stabbing it is like almost traumatizing. And I could very well relate to being trying like having a hard time detaching from those emotions. And I think it takes a couple episodes where you're like they still are having a hard time adapting to this new life.
Yeah.
I see that. I guess the thing for me that detaches me is that if it was present, like if from the beginning it was treated, it doesn't feel like it's treated like an isekai because they don't. What we're told is that they don't remember anything like consciously from their past life. They just know they're 2 weeks old in Grimgar. So for me, it's like you essentially only know the values of Grimgar. So this isn't really you sort of like being put into a situation that's uncomfortable because of something that like you're relating to your modern lifestyle or like something that we go through on a daily basis, right? It's more of you're just uncomfortable in a fantasy world, which also is another point. I think this fantasy world is fucking garbage. It's the most bland isekai world ever.
Well, I won't touch that
Ooh.
part,
Yeah, I disagree.
but
I
that
also
first
disagree.
But that first part you were saying is they have these memories where they're saying things like, "This isn't a video game," and they're like, "What does that mean?" They're like, "You know what? I
Yeah.
really don't know." They don't mentally like aren't able to comprehend why they say and feel the things they do, but they still subconsciously feel it. So when they're shaking after trying to kill a creature, it's because you can relate it to them having subconscious memories from their previous life. So I don't think it's so detached from our own reality the way you're trying to make it sound.
I agree with that point. I think that's true.
Yeah.
Um,
I
it,
think
it,
so too. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say to like compound on that, just like in another way, it's like normally, sometimes an isekai does have that thing where you have to like go, kill the goblin or the slime or something, and like they struggle for an episode, and then after that they literally never need to worry about that creature ever again. An example of that would be, like Shield Hero, where he has to kill those like bouncing ball things, and then he has a hard time doing that. Gets Raftalia, never an issue ever again. And that's just the first one that came to my mind. But this one, episode 2, they kill a goblin. So if you're following the pattern, you're thinking they're just gonna kill the shit out of goblins from now on. Episode 3, they can't even find a goblin to kill. In episode 4, a goblin kills one of them. Like it's like just because they managed to kill one, it doesn't mean they're great at it all of a sudden, which I really appreciated because that's how working on things works. It's realistic.
Can I also just say that maybe in the last like 5 episodes something happened, but the first 7 episodes that I watched, in terms of in regards to the fantasy world thing, it's literally just there's a guild, kill goblins for money.
You learn there are zombies in
There you
episode
go.
4, like out of nowhere.
See, I
Oh
don't even
yeah.
recall. 'Cause I
Yeah.
don't care
Well, that's
about
because
the
it
anime.
it does get referenced later on when it's just like you end up seeing zombies or like basically if you're not burned or put to ash, which is I'm guessing that's why Grimgar of Ashes or something is part of the name. If you're not burned, you do come back to life. But other than that, they're really, to me, I mean, I don't think it was a bad world, but I can see where people are coming from, where they say that it is just your generic isekai world with, there's goblins, there's monsters, there's other things, there's dungeons, there's guilds, there's a city, everyone's fighting to survive, there's a gold system, whatever.
I,
Like I didn't feel like it did
yeah.
anything specifically unique compared to well, the only thing for me at least was like just thinking about it now is the guilds. There was like your party, but then there was the guilds that you were a part of, where it's like, oh, all the healers are part of the same guild, all of the thieves are part of the same guild, all of the tanks are part of the same guild. Like, I thought that was different, although they didn't really go into it very much, other than having the very fan service based
Oh my
teacher.
god.
Can I
Oh,
defend the
yeah.
world real quick?
Yeah, go on with
Because
that, too, 'cause I'm
because
curious.
like the isekai joke for like the world is it's a town surrounded by a wall with a river running through the middle. Like Konosuba, Wise Man's Grandchild, like they're all the same. Like, and they're like a town built into like the mountains. Like it would be like you probably consider it like Switzerland or like Italy, like that type of like geographical sense. I was like, I
Right.
actually thought like the starting town that they were in was fucking badass. I loved it.
Well, so like I think that I agree. It's cool. Like it's a cool setting, but like it's nothing unique in the sense where it's like it doesn't have that much of an impact on the. Okay,
I don't think it
there's a world.
has to have like an impact though. That like
But
it
I
serves a
think
purpose
that
for them to like
unique.
rest, eat and drink and get supplies. And, like that's what it does. And I felt
Yeah.
like it was like
I-
that's what it's supposed to do. Like I don't know. Like are you expecting them to be on like a giant like
well,
mechanical spider or something? Like
no, I just think that for what this show was trying to do, at least in my eyes, which was give us a view on. Well, in the beginning, it was giving us a view on how people lived in this isekai world and like the day-to-day struggles, right? And then like later on, it kind of got into a more specific type of struggle. I feel like at this point, and I had to go back and check when it was made just to make sure. By 2016, there's enough isekai that touches on these points that it's trying to show us that this is a redundant anime to me. Like if I wanted to see someone suffer, I'd go watch ReZero, regardless of whether you like it or not. Like I'd go watch the fucking Death March to a Parallel World if I wanted a commentary on the day-to-day life of someone. Now, of course, later on it gets a little fucking crazy, but like, there are other isekai, especially at the point that this is made, that give the same commentary, and in my opinion are more interesting because they're not trying to be so broad in in what they're talking about.
So I think that episode 2 is called The Long Day of the Volunteer Soldier, right? You're supposed to be getting the daily routine and the struggles of specifically these bottom of the ladder people. And that's another reason we don't know a ton about the world, in my opinion, because we are seeing the world through the eyes of literal level 1 characters, if this was an RPG. So, like one, you don't always know about the Devil King when you're level 1. Maybe you learn about him at level 5. So like, and who the hell's gonna tell? If there's like a dragon invading a castle, fucking 20 knots over, then we need to tell our level 2 cleric that there's a dragon. No one cares. No one needs to tell these people anything. These people need to worry about killing fucking goblins.
True.
And that's what we see them do.
I feel like they're
Getting
not
by
the
on
main
what they can.
characters of this world. Like if you were to drop them in like World of Warcraft, like they're almost like those NPCs or those characters that start playing the game that you know are gonna quit before they get out of like the starting zone, before they get to like level 10. They're the person like they're not the ones that are destined to save the world. They're not the shield heroes. They're not the Kiritos. They're the people that maybe commit suicide when they find out that they're stuck in a death game type of thing.
It's Yeah, like when you're level 1 in WoW, you don't know that Ragnaros is there waiting for you at level 60. What you know is that there are too many cats in Darnassus, and you need to kill 5 cats and collect their collars.
Miles just confirmed he's an Alliance player. Oh,
So one thing I want to mention
for the Horde.
or whatever. I don't know. Horde, Zug Zug.
We should move to our last talking point though,
Okay.
because of time.
Okay.
Pat, did we lose Pat?
Okay. If we.
Mike's here. Mike's just not working. Sorry. I guess it's.
Oh, okay.
There we go. I was just gonna say, Smiley, real quick. If you had, you were gonna say something. I know you. It is your show.
I was just gonna mention that, like, if there was like Renji's party, if this would have followed his party, this would have been more like a common isekai anime, because Renji's party just flies through it, and it even mentions it. It's like, I think it was Haruhiro was like, well, we're not like that. We're not on that level.
Yeah.
Basically, especially in the light novel, it's mentioned that, and I will say there was something interesting that I wanted to point out that's in the light novel and that they didn't put into this, was that there's actually in the light novel, a little bit after, why am I spacing on her name right now? the new priest, the girl that comes in. That's a
Mary.
girl, that's
Mary,
really young.
it's the most complicated name of the group. I agree.
But when she comes in, so there's like a part in the light novel where an orc attack happens on the city, and you get to see more of Renji and his party, which I thought was interesting in the light novel, which was curious to why they didn't add that in. But it was an orc attack, and you just get to see some action of their party and their side of things, and how Haruhiro takes care of it, because there's actually in the light novel, in this that would have been in this season if they added it in, him like running away from an orc and trying to battle it in a sense. So
What him being just outmatched or whatever completely?
yeah,
And yeah, okay, so that's interesting because I do feel like Renji was just thrown in like I obviously felt like you said, like a character that in the light novel had a little bit more relevance. But I do agree though that it would have been nice to see that party doing something rather than just being told that, oh, they're this great. Which granted you can kind of just tell just by looking at them with their armor and with
yeah,
the
with
the
the
way they
armor
just
and all that, yeah.
casually throw around money. But like I do agree though that it would have been nice to have seen them a little bit more rather than just being like alluded to them and being like, oh wow, they're the mystical guys. But so I guess our last talking point before we get to like best girl and best boy would be how it develops near the end for me. So for me, I thought Mary, the new party member who was there to replace Minato as the healer or as the priest, no, yeah, the healer. I thought Mary had more character development than anyone else in the show. And I thought she was awesome in the series. I really enjoyed how she grew from this devastated shell of a person into finally growing and learning what it was like to feel emotions again, and like I thought it was nice to see her get that closure with her party members and everything. There were moments I thought were weird where like Haru, the main character, just I remember he was like surprised when Mary was upset about going back to the mines or whatever, and I was just like, why are you surprised that she would be upset about going there? Like why are you acting so shocked that she is like having this jarred reaction to going back down to the place where her friends were killed and like where she lost all of her happiness. Like that felt weird to me, but anyways, I feel like overall the ending of the series was very satisfying. I thought the payoff was there. I thought it showed the growth in the characters and the growth in their friendships overall. I think they did a pretty solid job with the final arc in general, just wrapping it up like consistently. I don't know how you guys felt about the series there.
So, can I
Yeah.
jump in? Um, well, so with Mary, I really have to say that she is probably the best character that is in the show. I agree with you, Pat. But like, she's probably the only character that I've seen anime, in the anime that I've seen, that actually presents a panic attack and PTSD as a panic attack and PTSD rather than somebody going, I'm hyperventilating. Oh God, I'm passed out. Like it's not a panic attack is not always, oh, you've passed out for 30 minutes or oh, you're having a seizure. Like there's panic attacks where you were shaking and you were scared from something that is not a present danger but has been a present danger in the past, and that is presented extremely well by Mary, especially when she leaves and goes back to the uh, kind of like uh, the woman's home,
Yeah,
I
the
guess.
where she was living, like she just left the
Yeah,
bar because she was so jarred by what had just happened. Yeah. Um.
exactly. Like
Mhm.
that gave her and the show points for me. So like that the made her the best character that I've seen in the show.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
yeah. So like I think she had the best character development for me. Because of like you said, like those scenes overall. So I don't know, best character, that's hard to put out there, but I definitely think she had the most character development at that point in the show, in my eyes.
So I agree.
Um,
Mary had. Oh, do you want to go, Smiley?
uh, I mean, you could go.
Okay, so I agree. Very good character development. Here is the top secret next level strats for who had the most character development in this show, and it's Oh god, I can't. But the fucking mage, I can't pronounce her name.
Shiharu.
Shihiro. There's too many H's and I's next to each other, meaning three. Just too many. So, end of episode 2, right? We know she's the shy one, and she isn't really comfortable with the guys. So during that musical montage that everyone hates, we see that Monato buys her a hairpin, right?
Yeah.
And then we see Yumi, who was like coming up because Yumi knows that she doesn't like, she isn't comfortable around the guys, but then notices it's Minato, sees that Manito's a good guy, sees all that reaction. The bathhouse scene happens, which makes the mage less trustworthy. She doesn't like the guys. That's like a whole little subplot that comes on. So later, Yumi talks to her about how, they're a group and she's going to need to forgive the guys and open up to them a little bit. While they're having that conversation, she has the hairpin in her hand and she's like tossing and turning with it, sort of like as a symbolic thing with her relationship with Manito. So the next time we see her, she has it in her hair and she like makes an effort to talk more. There's the scene where she talks to Manito on the bridge with the pigeons and stuff. Now that's going to come back later. So we see the fight scene. She's a lot more energetic. Her hair's pulled back so you can see more of her face. She looks less shy with the Manito hairpin. Manito fucking dies. Dead. She stops wearing the hairpin for a while. Mm-hmm. Then, once as a group, they start like recovering from that. Once they go to fight the goblins that killed Manito, she starts wearing it again. And after they do all of that, it's like in the morning, I think, of their day off, our main character sees her feeding birds, and it's something she's doing in memory of Monato, and she never even, says why. And she has all of this, like, you can tell where her mental state is on and off throughout the entire show and how she finally overcomes her grief without her saying one word the entire time, and I think it's fantastic.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I actually didn't notice any of that.
I know. I agree that she's there. I just she's the type of character that I don't enjoy watching. So that's why.
She's the worst girl, absolutely. But I thought the character development was great.
Correct. Best character development doesn't mean best boy or best girl.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
that's very true. But that's very true. But yeah,
I just like the way they did it. It was like very in the background. Like Mary's was amazing, but it's like you can't miss it if like it fucking hits you over the head with it. So that was just my take.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. Go ahead.
So for me, I'll agree with Mary. Mary did definitely have the best development. But I will say, just out of this popped up in my head, I liked Magazo, like how he had his little things, because in the light novels, they didn't mention anything about him cooking. They didn't mention anything about him carving, and at least in the first 2 novels where this was supposed to be coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it was cool that the people that made the studio that made the anime decided to add some little things, obviously, to give him some more character, because honestly, if they did it based off the way the light novel had it, it would have been boring.
He just would have been a nobody.
Yeah, he just would have been there. So
I'll say, if I want to just want to bounce off of that, because Magazo was my favorite character in the anime, and I'll give you my reasons why. Because this is very like MMO. Like I'm a huge like diehard WoW player, and the most selfless people in MMO RPGs are the tanks, and he is the tank, and everything he does for his character is for the team, and it's not only in combat but even outside. He's like the cook. Like he takes care of everybody on and off the battlefield. So I thought that was really great from him. I honestly thought Haruhiro had the best character development, because he got put into a situation where he didn't want to do it, but he's so professional that he's like, okay, well, none of you are, because he's kind of like resembles me, where it's like, if nobody's going to do it, he's just like, I'm gonna fucking do it, like, screw it, like, I'll do it, like, and if you get mad, I don't care, because no one else wanted to do it, so I'm gonna do things my way. So I kind of liked that style of, like, character for him, getting thrusted into a position where he does not want to be in, and he is not qualified for, and I felt like he did a pretty decent job towards the end, and that's just, like, mad respect. I think, like, Mary was, like, a very close second.
yeah.
Fair enough. They all had good character development. Go ahead.
I'm going to, since we've talked about pretty much everyone else besides Yume, who I think is probably the most straightforward character throughout the whole thing. She's the big sister through and through. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Ranta in the last couple episodes,
No, I agree.
you see a little bit of him developing to not be quite as
A bitch.
a bit.
Yeah.
He's
An
not
asshole.
quite the asshole.
Absolutely.
You get to understand at least a little bit about like he's still like insufferable, but like you feel like you see a little bit of him caring about the group more so than you might have up until the whole mine scene
Correct.
would have believed him to be. So I do want to at least give him credit, even though I still think he's insufferable and I hate his guts.
Yeah.
He does get better.
He does get
One
better. I'll
person
give
we
him. I
didn't
will give him
mention
that
was-
too.
Does anyone? Oh, I was on Ranta maybe not sucking. Does anyone? I don't know if it goes into this in light novels. I have no idea. But that demon that follows him around, I wondered the entire time if that was having an effect on his personality. Just because he has this piece of shit little demon like talking shit to him the entire
Yeah.
time, and I was
He was
wondering.
like that before, though.
Okay, well, the fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could have made him worse, but like
You see
that
it in the show. Yeah, that's true. It
not
could
wanted
have.
it to be a Dark Knight because you just have this guy telling you to die the entire time, and it would have gone to me.
And
Yeah,
that's not even a
Wow.
joke either.
Yeah, no,
it's-
yes.
So
Just
I
to,
think this is,
just
go
to,
ahead.
just to bounce off of what you said, Miles. I was like in the last few episodes, I was actually thinking about that too, because when he is hiding from death spots in the broken down shed, he is just like miserable in there for multiple reasons, but the demon is like the more he hears die, 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 which it goes on for a long ass time, uh he just like the more he hears it, the more he wants to explode. So like the fact that he keeps on hearing it and that he wants to, and like the more that it goes on, it's kind of like adding, it's kind of like a fuse going until he just yells that he actually likes Yume, and that probably, like you said, has a huge effect on his personality when he's around other people.
hmm I can totally see that. I didn't even think about that, but that is a very good point. I did even without that thought though. He definitely does grow more redeemable by the end of the series, which is very very clearly intentional, and I think it's a good thing overall. But all right, so now that we're done talking about the show, the main gist of the show, I think we can move on to best boy and best girl, and worst boy and worst girl. You know, it's a good thing that we like to do because it's fun to talk about waifus and husbandos. So why don't, we're just gonna start at the top of the list on my side, or that I can see. Let's start with Miles. Well, let's do best boy, best girl, worst boy, whatever order you want to do them in. Let's try and keep it quick though, because we are already. Wow, we have already been talking for an hour, so let's get that moving.
So we'll wrap it up. So yeah, best girl's hard for me. I'm gonna say best girl Mary, waifu Yumi. But I don't know. Flip it depending on the day.
Yeah.
Worst girl, I'm gonna say I forget her name. I had even written it down. Whoever.
Barbara.
Barbara. Yeah, Barbara. Not about it. I just feel like she wasn't needed, and the show really didn't lend itself to fan service. So like, you're a thief. You're supposed to be sneaky. Everyone's gonna be looking at you in that outfit.
Right.
Yeah. Best boy is Monato. And you know what? I'm gonna go worst boy. I forget what his name is. Who's the Chad guy?
The
Oh,
Chad.
the Australia guy at the end, right? In the bar?
No, the guy who's like the best guy who's like throws the gold at them.
Rinji.
Rinji.
Oh, Renji?
Renji.
So in Rinji, in the first visual or graphic novel, he throws out a lot of homophobic slurs, and I have not forgiven him for it. So he's worst boy.
Yeah,
There you go.
I actually have the same. Same idea with that. Anyway,
All right, so well, we can move on. Kat, you're next. Let's hear it.
Oh.
Best boy, best girl, worst girl, blah blah. I can't say it, so just say it.
so best boy, in my opinion, was Mokuzo, because like he was just wholesome, and he was the most wholesome person in the show, in my opinion, because
Mhm.
like he's except for that one scene where he just like shuts down Ranta and Hiro. Just
Really good scene.
Yeah.
It was a really good scene. I fucking love that scene. Best girl is Mary, because you know she she genuinely becomes a really good character at the end of the show. At the end of the show, and I really appreciate that. Uh, uh, waifu. Uh, I probably have to say. Hmm, yeah, probably have to be Yume.
Mhm.
And husbando. I'm doubling down with Moguzo because I feel like he'd be the one person in there that wouldn't make you feel like shit.
And he
Um,
cooks.
and he
Deal.
cooks. And he
Yeah.
cooks.
Yep.
Um, now, worst boy, it for me it's a toss up between uh Monato and Ranta. Two different reasons. Monato is kind of like the happy-go-lucky perfectionist dude, and I feel like if he messes up, he's going to go into a huge spiral of depression, even though he doesn't seem like it. Yeah, and uh, either self-inflicted or goblin-inflicted, one or the other. But like he's just gonna drag the whole relationship down. That's how I feel like he would be. Uh, and then Ranta, obvious reasons. Then worst girl is Shirahira. Whatever her fucking name is.
Shiharu.
Yeah, Shihiro. She's just bland. She's
Yeah.
just like I feel like they wanted her to be somewhat of a kudere, but she doesn't play it. Like she doesn't. She's just two, I guess. Like she.
She's too kudere almost to be a kudere, right? Like she's too much of the coup to be the dere because she doesn't have a lot of time to do the dere because the coup is just everywhere. Like I feel like that's where the problem with her was she just didn't
It's
do
kind of
enough
like
in
Kirito in what chapter was it?
Alicization. Yeah, in where he's just sitting there doing nothing. All right, we're going way too
Best
off topic
Kirito
for
right
that.
Person you're
there.
supposed to go dairy for fucking dies in episode 4. You're allowed to be a little coo. That's all I'm
True.
gonna say.
Yes,
True.
yes, no, of course, but that doesn't mean also though you can't be criticized for not being interesting because you're just sitting there and
Yes, you
as a,
can be
as a
criticized for
wallflower.
being sad your future husband died.
Okay.
Oh, I'll still
You
criticize
don't know
me
who
for
she
it.
would have.
Heartless.
All right. Next up on our list of to choose their best boy and girl is Adam. So let's hear your take. What's and let's keep this moving too. I feel bad.
Yeah, I'll go quick. I'm with most people. Mary is my favorite female character. Yume is my waifu. Shiharu is worst girl, I guess. I don't hate her, but whatever. And
Yeah.
hate Ranta. Not a fan of him. I don't like him as a person. Uh, Moguzo, he's my husbando, and Haruhiro, best boy. There you go. Pass it on.
Fair enough. That makes sense. I think almost everyone would agree. Happy, you've been a little quiet, but out of your few episodes that you've seen, what do you think? Did you like Yume a lot? I don't even know if you met Mary in your episodes
Okay,
that you've
okay.
seen.
I did meet Mary, and because of that, she's worst girl because I only had the one episode of her when she was
Yeah, fair
she was
enough.
not the team player. So yeah, she's worst
Fair.
girl by default until I see more of her.
Hmm.
Best girl Yume, best boy Monato, worst boy guess Ranta.
Yeah, Ranta. There we go.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right, Haz, you're up next. Let's keep moving.
Best boy Haruhiro. Best girl Yumi. Waifu Barbara, because obviously. Um, worst boy. Uh, it's a toss up between Ranta and Monato. Uh, worst girl Shihiro.
Shihoru.
Yeah, she fucking sucks.
Yeah, I can only agree. She's boring. All right. I guess I'm next, so I'll on my list. So I'll just go quick. I think like everyone else has said so far, I think Best Girl is Mary, a very interesting character. She's lovable, she's cute, and she's fun. Like she grows on you. But in terms of waifu material, it's Yume. Worst Girl, Shiharu. I just get so bored every time I hear or well, don't hear her speak. I guess because all she does is exist on the screen. But even then, she's still not that terrible. She's just the worst out of a pretty good bunch. Otherwise, I'd say Ranta's worst boy by far, just such an insufferable little twat. And I gotta go with Moguzo because every time he goes Domo, like that was I loved that so
The
much.
best.
That was so fun every time
Yeah.
you swing that sword and just be like Domo. Like I was just it got me so excited every time, and I was just like, this guy is the one. He is the one I'm willing to die for. So yeah, I guess that's my list. Let's move on to you, Pete. What have you got?
Yeah, best boy Moguzo. I love that they're like his like second skill he learns is like this is called the Skull Crusher, or for some reason
Yeah.
we call it the thank you, and everyone's like the thank you, and then they show him he's like Dobo, and then
Yeah.
breaks their skull. I'm like amazing.
Yep.
I feel like the girls in the show were like really good. So like, even though I think Shiharu is the worst, I don't think she's bad. I'm still giving her a little credit. She easily should have been if you're casting her, she's easily like the priest trope, where she's like the quiet healer, but she's actually like the mage, which I thought was really cool. But best girl Yume, worst boy was Kikakawa, the drunk dude at the bar. Because if I saw him in real life, I'd literally like switch bars. Like
He gets a redemption arc at the end, though.
He's so annoying. And then waifu Barbara for sure.
Yeah. I can think of two solid reasons why Barbara's a top waifu.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the glasses and the hair.
Established job and okay.
Yeah, it's the glasses. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, you got 4. All right. Smiley, what's your take on this discussion?
So really quick, after I'm done with my stuff, do you guys care if I say something from Volume 3 of the light novel?
I actually do care.
I'm probably gonna read.
I'm probably going to continue.
So the people I'll mention it to later. So let's see. Best guy I would have to say is Moguzo. And then best husbando Soma, which is a samurai guy. I don't remember if it was mentioned in that, but I know it's in the second novel.
I don't think he's shown in the show.
He's not shown
Okay.
in the anime.
If he was, he would have been at the end. Best girl, Mary, and best waifu would be Yume. Yeah. And then I guess worst guy would be No Life King, because he is mentioned in the anime. And he's the big bad. And then
Interesting.
worst girl, I don't know.
That is a tough
I
one.
don't know. Shiro is okay.
I wonder. It's tough for you to speak because you've got again the future light novel to reference at least, or you got more knowledge than we do. So, but it's interesting to see that even with that, you still agree though that Mary is the best girl, and then Yume is best waifu. I think that's a funny thing that we all came to a consensus on this show, which maybe it's not the biggest waifu war kind of show. I feel like I don't feel like there's really, it's not Bakemonogatari, or it's not, God, what else have we watched? Princess Principal, where there's like girls that are like very distinct personalities. And
I will say, best girl does change for me, and best boy does change for me too. As I'm not using the light novels.
You're not set in stone. Okay, fair enough.
No, because light novels, some stuff happen, and yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So there you go.
Can I just throw it? I think it just tells us which members of our group are ass men and which ones are boob men based on.
Well, I am
who
an
they're
ass
wanting
man.
for.
So it's okay.
I am an ass man.
Then how can you not be Yume? Because that ass.
I mean, that's true. But
That is a black hole. Okay, it accumulates mass continually.
Okay, we're going.
It is the center of a galaxy.
We're going into the bonus the 0.5 chapter of our little talk here. So let's save that for later. But
Yep.
All right, why don't we go down the list now real quick and give our closing thoughts and our scores. So let me get my little trusty notepad out so I can keep track of our scores. I gotta open that back up. But why don't we start with you, Miles? Let's hear your closing thoughts and final scores.
So I mean, if you like isekais, know that I don't, but I love this show. So maybe it's not for you if you like them. But going into this, I thought I was going to give it an 8, but I've been positively affirmed and entrenched enough on these battle lines. I'm going to fucking bump it up to a 9. Fuck it, 9 out of 10.
Wow, 9 out of 10 from Miles. All right, 9 out of 10. That's a strong score to
Yeah,
start out with.
I know. I don't think it. Yeah, it gets it. It's
Let's
great.
go.
All right, Kat, let's move on. Let's see the exact opposite reaction starting
Right.
now. Go ahead, Kat.
Uh,
Release the
so
pounds.
the hounds.
He's a
Or the
cat.
cats. All right, all
Release
right.
the herd,
God
or
forbid.
whatever.
It's
Release the
reverse
neck
The
on
litter.
irony.
The litter.
It's reverse
Okay.
irony. Okay.
So the thing is, like, can we, before I give my final statements, I just want to say, can we just talk about how what's his name?
No.
Renji looks like Orga Itsuki from Iron Blooded Orphans.
I have
Like,
no
I
idea.
haven't seen
Nobody
that.
else
So
mentioned that.
Nope.
Anyway, so like the main thing is like I think I th- I think it's a good show. I honestly think it's a pretty good show. And if it wasn't so slow in the first 4 episodes, I probably would have given it a more favorable review. But like to me, it just feels like, and this is a bit of a stretch, it feels like a 6 out of 10 for me.
6 out of 10 for you. Okay.
That's
Fair enough.
literally higher than I thought you were going to give it. You said
Same.
like, yeah, you said like you'd rather
Yeah,
die than
definitely.
watching it in the intro.
Fair enough. All right, Adam, let's move on to you.
I
Let's
would
see,
have
let's
brought
hear your
this.
thoughts.
Um, uh, I felt like this whole conversation I've gone up on my score. So originally I was gonna give it a 7, but I'm gonna give it an 8. And the only reason I'm not gonna give it a 9 is because we don't have season 2, and I really fucking
Mhm.
want a season 2.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All
Who
right,
needs
Happy.
it?
Happy. What was your score? I know you haven't seen most of it, but I'm still curious
I
to
don't
see.
think Happy's score should count in terms of like the
I
cumulative.
I'm curious. Yeah, no, it's not going to
I-
count for cumulative,
I-
but I do want to hear it.
I don't have one at
You don't
all.
have one? Fair
I-
enough. Fair enough.
I am lukewarm. Ugh.
Fair enough. All right, so Has you finished almost all of it, I believe, right? You said you got at least to the part where Mary starts to become interesting or starts to develop, right? Has?
You're muted.
He's having audio issues. He's saying
Oh, sorry. What? He's having tech issues. Okay.
he can't. Yeah, he can't hear us. So
Yeah. Just let's see. Well, when he gets the score
think
typed
he's
into
back.
our chat,
there he was.
Oh.
Nope. No.
No, either way, we're gonna keep it moving.
Just type it in chat if you can
Yeah,
hear
just
us.
type if you can hear us, type it in chat, and we'll relay it to everybody else. Pete, why don't you go real quick? Then?
Yeah, I thought this show was near perfection. In terms of like my favorite isekais, it's Log Horizon, and Log Horizon's a 10 in my book, so I compare it to Log Horizon. My only real issues was I thought the first like 2.5 episodes were a little slow, and I thought Ronto was overly like hated, where they like pushed it on you, just like a little too much. I'm giving it a 9.
A 9 out of 10. Okay. And there we go.
Gave it a 3. He said
Yeah.
3 out of 10 anime sucks.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
So poor
What?
Has is gonna be bringing the score down a little bit. Smiley, let's hear your verdict real quick.
To be honest, if I give it a 0.5, I would, but I haven't had an 8.
You have an 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there
I
you
think
go.
8.5 is perfect for it, to be honest. That's what I think I'd
Yeah.
give it, but I decided to round it up.
Yeah, I was the round down for no season 2.
Yeah. So okay, so I guess I'm all that's left to give my thoughts. I guess so. The way I look at this show is it is the definition to me of a popcorn show where I am enjoying it. I will watch more of it if it comes out. I will enjoy it, but it's not something that really felt that substantial to me. It didn't move me that much. Although I will give them credit when they brought the whatever the level up necklace to the grave of Minato, that at the very end of the show, I thought that was a very nice emotional moment that they did very, very well. I really enjoyed that, and I thought and that redeemed it a lot in my eyes as well, because up until that point it just felt like generic mixed with a little bit of edginess to like not edginess, I don't know how to put it, but for me the show just wasn't fully for me in terms of being like so groundbreaking that I felt like it it was changing my perspective on anime, or an isekai that really changed the way I look at the genre. So for me, I have to put it at a 6 out of 10. Where again, I would watch more of it, but I think for me, it would probably be a 6.5 if we could give 0.5s. But I don't want to give it a 7 because there's so many other shows that I've given a 7 that I look at so much more favorably. So I think I have to put it at a 6 out of 10 myself. I would enjoy it and I would love to watch more of it, but I did not see it in as favorable of a light as some of you guys seem to have seen it. I will say though,
ReZero at out of curiosity.
ReZero, I think I have ReZero at a 7.
Okay.
Because I think I don't know, ReZero is weird. That's a weird show because
ReZero has 50% of its episodes do nothing. You think episodes 1 and 2 do nothing in this show?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
that is true.
ReZero is the same exact way. It's one of the
I love
reasons why I
ReZero.
freaking struggle to watch it, but I like it. I like it when it's good. It has its high peaks. That's the thing. The way I said about this show too. When in my own head, I was like, the peaks of this show are very, very high, but the valleys are also so deep. Where those first few episodes, the valleys that it hit were just like, why am I watching this? And then there are the moments where it peaked, where I was just like, this is awesome. This is why I like anime. This is why I like isekai sometimes. Like, these characters are great. They're showing growth. So I guess that again, that's why I have to give it a 6 out of 10 because I can't bump it too high in my eyes, at least to the point where it's touching other shows that I really enjoyed. All right, so let's do the math real quick. We've got let me get my calculator
We
out.
have a
It's
with
an
without
even
half
7.
score.
It's an even 7.
Even 7.
Oh wow.
An even
What is it if you take
7.0.
Has out?
If you take Has out, it would be a 7.66.
Okay, that sounds like a
Okay,
more
that's not too
good
bad.
score.
I think
So
that's the exact score on Mal.
Yeah,
So
it is a
probably
7.
really close.
It's a 7.74 on Mal. So that is pretty damn close. It seems like our consensus is
This is
pretty
why
close.
Mal is great. Anybody who
But
hates
you know what's
Mal,
funny?
this is the perfect
Here's another
example.
just another quick
Has-
example of Mal here that I thought was quite funny. With most isekai, most shows that have like a 7.5 or higher, like usually the Mal ratings or the reviews are very positive, right? Like they're always like, oh, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. This show was great. This is the first show that I've seen that has like the super high rating where 3 out of the 4 displayed reviews are just tearing the show to pieces. Like the top review is an 8 out of 10, but then the next one is a 2, the next one's a 4, the following one's a 4, and it's just like they're just tearing the show to shreds. Which again, I like Mal. Obviously, you can't put too much value into those reviews because, like, oh my god, reading them sometimes it makes you just sit there and just be like,
if you want to die, go read the Evangelion reviews.
Yes. Oh my god. But that's our point. Like most of the time they're bad, but you at least get a general gist of how people felt about the show because you do have to like it or say, "Oh, this review was helpful." For it to pop up near the top of the list. In this case, most of the ones that were found were helpful were so poor, even though the show, relatively speaking, for an isekai and a seasonal show, has a very high rating. So I thought that was very interesting to look back on after finishing the show. I was just, I find numbers and stuff like that interesting. So
My 3 out of 10 is a solid 3 out of 10. There's no. I'm so disgusted that you would even think about removing me.
Oh no. Well, no, that was
Okay,
we were just curious to see the score
Yeah,
because your score is the outlier. Because like
we
like
want to know if someone doesn't hate anime, what the score would be. So, like, if you hate anime, score is 7 out of 10. If you don't hate anime, 7.66.
so there you go. There you go. But that's go ahead.
One quick thing I gotta say, if a second season was to be made, I would probably give this show a 9 or a 10, and it would be like my first 10 ever if it was.
Really?
I
Wow.
agree with that. I think that if this show had a second season, I would bump it up from like a 3 to a 6.
Holy shit! What the hell? Okay.
There's some crazy stuff that happens.
Has his back,
like,
boys.
in the next 2
Yeah,
books,
this is
so.
this is vintage has.
I have never included if a sequel exists or not at my score.
Because my main not to go over, but like my main criticism is that there's too much going on for 12 episodes for me.
I can totally see that being your criticism, and I agree with it. I think that's the only reason why I would ever give a show a lower score. So, like, I guess a good example of this would be what do you call it? Otome, from the recent season, the Otome
The
Princess
villainess, yeah.
villainess. If that show only was 12 episodes and then they had like a resolved ending, I think I probably would have given it like an 8 or a 9. But because there was another season coming, it felt, and then the ending was kind of just like, oh well, we don't know what's going to happen now. That's why it dropped to like a 7 for me, because there was no resolution, there was no final ending. It was just, oh, we're going to continue plugging away. Like, I can totally see how a second season, or having a second season, would impact it. However, I don't think it's fair to punish the show for not being able to continue when it thought it was going to. But at the same time, you are right though, it does take on too much for it to only be a 12 episode show. But all right, I think we're going to cut off our discussion at that point because we have gone on for quite a while about this show. So moving on now, we have our show that we are going to be discussing next week. So let's, Miles, you are the vote tallier. Let's
Yes.
talk. Let's hear. I am so
Yes,
happy
I'm
to
excited.
announce the winner of this week. Go ahead, Miles, please.
Yeah, so we have a new record holder with 17 points this week. So old record was ping pong at 15. This one had 17. Just for like, Grimgar won with 12, or no, one with 11, just for like a baseline there. So first, we have a couple of shows tied at third place. We have Brand New Animals and The King's Avatar. We're tied at third place. Second place, and getting its second legacy point, we have Land of the Lustrous. And then at first place, it is my absolute pleasure to announce that we will be watching Twilight Magi Madoka Magica
Oh, wow.
next
God
week.
damn it.
I like it.
Yep. I cuss along even though I vote the number one. So we'll see. But yeah, so we are watching Madoka Magica next week. We are going to figure out if we're watching or the series plus the movie. I think it all depends on how we all feel about midway through the next 2 weeks, and maybe we can come to a consensus then.
Ooh.
Yeah, the apparently there's a sequel movie or a continuation movie. I don't know. Again, I know nothing.
Um, I will. I mean, I don't. We don't have to. I guess this will go on the YouTube video, so that's weird. But regardless if we broadcast it or not, I'm going to have host a discussion for the movie if anyone decides to watch it.
So there we go. Yep. So we will be watching Madoka Magica. So if you are watching along with us, please watch it as well. So that way you come into our debate. Let's ready to not have anything spoiled, or be able to engage in debate in the comments below in the YouTube or in our Discord as well. So before we get to plugging things though, we should move on to our nominations for the next week, or for the following week, where we will be nominating our shows and voting on them. You are welcome to participate in the voting as well. We'll get to how you can participate soon, but first let's like we've done so far every time there's been a list scenario, let's go down the list. Miles, what are you nominating to replace Madoka Magica
I see what
as
you
your anime? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, or I mean, Bakemonogatari. I mean, okay. Yeah. And this is not a fair nomination, by the way. I just want to say I might be throwing the challenge flag on this nomination that he's about to throw up. But go ahead, Debbie.
I'm going to be nominating Japan Sinks. I really want to watch it. I know it just came out and it's like in the zeitgeist currently, but I really want to watch it, so I'm nominating it.
Yep. Okay. So Japan Sinks, the show that just started. It's Anna Twitter has been freaking out about it. I believe the whole show dropped on Netflix. Either that or part of it, most
I
of it.
believe
think?
all of it has dropped on Netflix.
Okay, so there we go. That's
It's a movie, isn't it?
No, it's
No,
a
it's a
12
show.
episode.
it's a
show,
12
or
episode
10
show,
or
yep.
something.
Yeah, no, but it's listed as an ONA, so it's not listed as a regular season. I don't believe.
Oh, that just
so
means it's original.
Oh, I know. That's whatever. Either way, it's just different. That it's listed differently on Mal than most shows are, or 12 episode shows are. At least that's what I remember when I was looking for it.
Listed the same way as Devilman Crybaby is, and that was also a straight to Netflix show by the same
Right.
director. So that might have something to do with it.
Maybe. So there we go. All right, Kat, let's hear your nomination for this coming week. You had Land of the Lustrous, I believe.
Land of the Lustrous again.
You're going again with Land of the Lustrous. All right, so we've got 2 legacy points stacked onto that vote. Adam, let's hear your vote. What are you nominating this week?
All right. I've thought about this one for a while, and I'm gonna throw a curveball out here that I don't think anyone's ready for. Girls Bravo.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm down.
I,
I'm down.
I want to see everyone's reaction on this because
Girls Bravo. Okay, so I have a question though, quick. Is that a show that you are nominating because you think it's quality, or are you nominating because you think it's like it's funny, or it's like it's something that would be fun to talk about? Because I think you missed the last episode, but we talked about how I think on our 10th episode,
10th
we are going
episode.
to
It's not something that I feel like is one of those bad shows that you want to.
Okay.
It's not
All right.
Kaijo.
It's one of those shows that is going to have, I think, people that are going to be giving it like 8s and 9s, and then there's going to be people that I think are going to give it like 3s and 4s.
Okay, so there you go. That's fine then, because I just want to make sure you weren't nominating a
No, I love this show.
Keijo,
I
a
absolutely
Keijo or something.
love this
Okay.
show.
Oh well, you can love it and still nominate. I think I already have my show picked out for episode 10. I think it's gonna be interesting. I don't know if it's gonna count though. I think we're gonna have like a vetting process because certain shows we might think are good or whatever. Anyways, that's for something to talk about 2.5 from now. We lost
All right.
somebody. But Happy, you are here, so why don't you give us your nomination for next week?
Oh, you cut out for me for a minute there, but okay. What should I nominate? I think I will keep chugging on the Monogatari train and nominate Kizu Monogatari.
I see. Are we? Yeah, we can do that,
Yeah,
right?
for
Because
sure.
we've all
Yeah.
seen. Yeah.
Why we might as well, yeah, since we all technically watched it. So so now I can nominate SAO now. Wow. Okay. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, I think that's fair because we and obviously if there are people coming in and out, it's a little tough. But even then, they can get the gist of it. So yeah, we can do Kizumonogatari, I'd say, as long as that's the next
Now, quick
timeline
question.
of this.
Prequel
Would we
movies
just
or
do? Quick question. Would we just do one movie, or would we do all three?
Probably all 3, I would assume.
Probably all 3 because that would be about 6 hours of watching, which is what
That's
a normal series is or so, right?
It's like 4.5
available for
hours.
streaming anywhere?
I don't know if
Amazon.
it's streaming, but we don't
It's
have.
on Amazon, but you have to buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, or watch it on
Yar har fiddle dee dee.
Yeah, hard.
Anime.
Or we could join the Straw Hats and be pirates.
Exactly.
Pirates.
Yar har. All right, Haz, you are here, so let's hear your nomination for next session.
It's hard, because everything is garbage. But if I had to like find the dirty ass quarter in the garbage, so we're gonna have something specifically for interesting to talk about, right? That's later. Okay, so then I guess I'm gonna run. Since me and Saint were up late last night talking about it, Chivalry of a Failed Knight. Unless
Wow. Okay.
Hey, that was a
Yeah.
good one.
That works.
Yeah.
I think that's a show that is generally favored or could be talked about.
And Adam has it immediately in Blu-ray.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait,
Our
what?
conversation comparing it to the Asterix Wars, if it gets picked.
Oh, yeah.
Can we not? Because I already had this conversation with Saint
I don't have
at
that
like
shit.
5 a.m.
Yeah, but the people don't know who Saint is, so we have to
Yeah.
give it the content to the people.
Yes.
Anime
Alright.
is garbage. That's the content.
Okay. Yeah, says the guy on an anime podcast, anime watch club, whatever. Pete, what's your nomination?
I'm gonna renominate Brand New Animal.
Brand New Animal. All right, that show did well last week in the votes, so we'll keep it going. Hopefully, Smiley, what have you got?
So I nominated last week the King's Avatar, but I think I'm gonna change mine. And even though it got 3rd place, and so I'm gonna nominate Koitsuoso, which is I think Love Lies, and one it has a great opening. And I just think it's rated too low on Mao. It's at a 6.65, I believe, and personally I think it should be higher than that. So, and it is a romance, I believe, if I remember right.
You
So-
have my heart. Koito
Mhm.
Uso. Okay, I've definitely heard of this show. So
Yeah.
I think I You caught me. You caught me slipping now. Okay. I think I'm just gonna stick with good old reliable. It didn't earn a legacy point for the first time this week, but it did still finish. I think it actually did finish tied for third with legacy points. Tadakun Never Falls in Love. We'll eventually watch it. I know we will. I want us to watch it sooner than later so I can nominate something else. I think it's a good, happy show that we'll all at least enjoy watching, even if we don't think it's groundbreaking. I think we can all find our own things that we like about it. So I'm going to continue to nominate Tadakun, Woshinai, something or other, blah 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 blah. There we go.
Cool.
So yeah, I think that's I believe that's everybody's nominations. So we'll have a list of that posted for us to all vote on. Again, you are welcome to vote on it as well. You know, this we want to hear from you guys in the comments. Anybody that's watching this and has made it this far, please tell us your opinions on the show. Tell us your opinions on us. Well, why you think Kat is just a terrible person. You know, why you
Why
think
am I
why
the one being judged?
you know, like just you set yourself up for it, Kat. I'm kidding. But, you know, like why does Pat always sound like such a contrived asshole? You know, like there's so many different things that you guys can say to us.
True.
Please talk to us and let us know your opinions of the shows and join our Discord. Join us so that we have people to talk to because anime is such a wonderful thing that unites us all and we
Fucking
have a lot of
garbage.
fun.
I'm gonna leave Has for the rest of
Come
the.
Fix Has. Come help us fix Has and make him love and appreciate anime again. So please join us. All right. So I just want to say once again, as always, thank you, Pete, for giving us a platform to have our anime watch club. Miles and I really appreciate it. And if you want to take it away to close it, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching What Do You Say Anime. Follow us on Twitter at What Do You Say Annie. That's What Do You Say ANI on Twitter. Join our Discord. It'll be in the description below. We are like active, I don't know, for 21 hours out of the day, I feel like. Something's always going on our Discord. So if you want to talk anime, games, manga, sports,
Hentai.
I don't know, hentai, I guess with Cat. We have as long as you're 18 plus, according to Discord, it's fine. So join us and especially if you like our videos, word of mouth is the best way to like spread it. Otherwise, please like, comment, and subscribe because that helps the YouTube algorithms and the iTunes algorithms and all that fun stuff. So we just appreciate any support that we get, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for Madoka Magica. We'll see you then.